thunder of jets in an open sky, a streak of gray, and a cheerful...
A loop, a whirl, and a vertical climb, and once again you'll know it's time for the adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and friends.
Starring that supersonic speedster, Rocket J. Squirrel, with his pal Bullwinkle the Moose, and a host of others.
Hurry, Bullwinkle! The show's about to start!
I'm coming as fast as I can.
Wave to the people!
Yay!
Now what are you doing?
Sign an autograph. Let's see. John Smith.
But your name is Bullwinkle.
I know, but that's hard to spell.
We're gonna have a lot of fun. Come on and join us.
Sure, there's always room for one more.
There are those who say the richest man in England was the Earl of Crankcase. I use the past tense because one day in back of his ancestral home, Abominable Manor, the Earl decided to take a swim.
I shall take a short dip and then have tea.
Unfortunately, the Earl was absent-minded. Not only didn't he have any tea in the house, but he didn't have a pool. The effects of the tragedy were far-reaching. Before the week was out, the 3 surviving members of the Crankcase family gathered at the law firm of Lamb, Curry, and Rice for the reading of the will. These were distant nephews of the late Earl, Filcher, Belcher, and Jay.
Oh, how we grieve our dear uncle's passing.
Oh, how we'll miss him.
Oh, how much did he leave us?
Nothing. The entire estate, consisting of £1 million note, goes to the new Earl of Crankcase, and this is what he looks like.
The only existing photograph was a glossy 8x10 of a 12x4 foot. On the sole of the foot was an inscription reading, Rue Britannia.
Find a foot with that on it and I'll show you the new Earl.
Wasting not a second, the nephews searched their souls.
Mine says, don't tread on me. Fiddlesticks.
Mine says, walk softly and carry a big stick. Oh, prunes.
How do you spell Britannia?
It was apparent that the heir apparent was none of them. By the end of the week, the law offices were overrun with barefoot boys with lots of cheek, all claiming to be the new Earl. It was just about then that a prominent London physician made a startling discovery.
This isn't the foot of a man. It's the foot of a moose.
And that brings us to Frostbite Falls, Minnesota, home of our stalwart hero, Rocket J. Squirrel.
Oh, I hate my uncle, but I love my antlers, 'cause antlers are a moose's best friend. Hey, Rock!
Huh? What is it, Bullwinkle?
Hand me my shower cap, will you?
Yeah, here you are.
Thanks. Anything I can't stand is wet horns.
Say, have you seen the morning paper? It says here they're looking for a moose foot with Rue Britannia on it.
You mean like this?
Yeah, like that. Bullwinkle, your foot!
Sure, it's my foot. I got another one just like it. They come in pairs, you know.
But Bullwinkle...
Sometimes they come in apples and kumquats, but mostly in pairs.
Yeah, but those words on the bottom of your foot, don't you know what that means?
Yeah, I got a scrub hardy.
No, you're the new Earl of Crankcase.
Notifying the Crankcase lawyer of the big news, the boys then departed for England.
Here's champion news, gentlemen. The new Earl has been located and will arrive within the hour aboard the SS Flotsam.
Oh, how jolly.
Here, here.
By the way, sir, what would happen if the Earl were to meet with a timely accident?
Why, then you chaps would split the inheritance.
Flushed with incentive, the nephews dashed to the nearest beach just as a channel swim got underway. Pretending to be part of the competition, the cunning threesome dove into the water and appeared to be swimming to France. However, they had barely left shore when suddenly they veered at a 90-degree angle and set a more or less indirect course for the good ship Flotsam, which had just entered the harbor.
Look out this porthole, Rock. They got the strangest-looking purposes in these waters.
Those aren't porpoises, Bullwinkle.
What then, mermen?
No, they're probably diving for pennies.
Actually, they were diving for the bottom of the boat. Once there, they promptly drilled a gaping hole.
Awful warm cabin we're in. Look how we're perspiring.
Bullwinkle, that's seawater.
Indeed it was, and in a matter of minutes, the cabin was almost filled. Will this turn out to be a one-episode story? Don't miss Earl and Water Don't Mix, or Next time, take the drain.
And now it's time for...
Time for the dancing fool, Bullwinkle.
Again? And now for one of our special fairy tales.
Yeah.
Long, long ago in a kingdom, there was a little chimney sweep who was very, very, very poor. The reason that he was so very poor was that this kingdom had no chimneys. Why, after a whole year of hard work, he showed a profit of only 2 cents, and that had been left to him by a wealthy uncle. He decided to celebrate and do something that he was only able to do 1 day a year: eat. Now, ordinarily, 2 cents doesn't go very far, but if one uses his head and buys wisely...
Special, day-old fish, 2 cents. Get 'em while they last.
Hey, you want to buy a bag of oysters?
No.
Sack of shrimps?
No.
Carton of crabs?
No. Ask me if I want to buy a day-old fish.
Hey, you want to buy a day-old fish?
No, but that's all I can afford, so give me a fresh old one.
Sorry, I just sold the last one, but I'm going to give you a 7-day-old fish. Here.
With that, an overpowering aroma filled the shop, and the little chimney sweep reeled dizzily and said,
What's that odor?
What you talk? I don't smell nothing.
Now, the young man was hungry, but not that hungry. In 4 quick strides, he reached the doorway, but the fishmonger waved the fish at him and stopped him colder than a mackerel, a 7-day-old mackerel. When he came to, the fishmonger had a strange look in his eye, and he was saying,
Hey, kid, this is a magic fish. It has lots of power. Oh, boy. Keep it with you, and you're gonna have a good luck.
How much does it cost?
Nothing. Just to get it out of the shop.
That evening, in his furnished hovel, the little chimney sweep was about to cook the fish when the door opened and a messenger from the palace entered.
Is your name Sea Sweep? What is that awful odor?
Yes, it is, and that's my dinner. What's up?
The king is having a ball tonight. You're invited as the guest of honor.
Me? Guest of honor? The king doesn't even know me.
Well, that's a fairy tale for you. Be there at 8.
The young man was amazed when suddenly the old fishmonger's words came back to him.
Keep this fish with you, and it will bring you good luck.
Say, that's right. I've never been invited to the king's palace before today. It must be good luck. I'll keep it with me, always.
Promptly at 8, the little chimney sweep arrived at the king's palace, and the ball turned into an instant failure.
Oh, good heavens, who invited you?
You did, sire.
The king would have carried this discussion further, but there was a certain air about the young man that prevented this. By now, the guests were leaving the party in droves, and the palace was declared off limits. The king had to act, and act fast.
I must get this person out of the country. I hereby appoint you a prime minister, and am sending you to serve in my brother's kingdom across the sea.
Early the next morning, one of the king's fastest ships sailed out of the harbor. Aboard were 16 cats, droves of seagulls, and 1 passenger, the little chimney sweep with an 8-day-old fish. When he arrived at the new kingdom, he found it under siege. A flotilla of enemy ships were bombarding everything in sight. As new prime minister, his duty was to save the kingdom. Not having a sword, he drew his now 2-week-old fish and boarded the enemy flagship.
Stop this bombardment! Have you no sense of decency?
The attacking force had no sense of decency, but it was clear that they had a most acute sense of smell.
Retreat!
And that they did most rapidly. The kingdom was overjoyed.
Now I shall come ashore and minister primes for you.
No, no. As prime minister, your first job is to return to my brother's kingdom and deliver a birthday present to him.
Present? What is it?
You.
So, once again, he crossed the sea. However, halfway home, he encountered a raging storm, during which a terrible thing happened. His enchanted fish was washed overboard.
Good heavens! My good luck is gone.
With that, his ship was smashed to bits by a gigantic wave, and he was cast into the boiling sea. Weeks later, tattered and weak from hunger, the little chimney sweep staggered onto the sandy shores of his home, and who should be on the beach but the king, who was celebrating his birthday by having a weenie bake. The little fellow crawled up to the king and said,
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
But since he had lost his enchanted fish, nothing had gone right. He was accused of being a weenie bandit and thrown into a dungeon.
Happy birthday, dear highness.
Years later, the little chimney sweep, gray and broken, was given a full pardon.
Happy birthday to you.
Of course, he didn't go back to being a chimney sweep, for he had had a taste of success, and he knew that if he was ever to rise to those heights again, he would have to get another enchanted fish. The moral to this story is that he who aspires to greatness should remember fishing might make it so.
That's a pretty strange-looking painting, Bullwinkle.
I just paint what I see.
Well, what do you see?
This is what I see. Hi there, poultry lovers. We got a real treat in store for you today. A special guest, Mr. Peter Piker.
That's Piper.
Yeah. Mr. Piker is the star of the well-known famous poem, Peter Piker Picked a Peck of Pickled Peppers.
That's pickled.
That's what I said, pickled. A peck of pickled pickers Peter Piker picked.
The name is Peter. Peter Piper.
And you can call me Bullwinkle. If Peter Piker pecked a pickled pickers,
Brother,
where's the pickled Peter Piker picked? How's that?
you got a bad case of pookles there, fella.
And that's our first question. Where are they?
Where what?
The peppers, the pickled peppers.
Oh, I'm out of the pickle business now.
You are?
I couldn't say it either.
Hey, that's great. What are you doing now?
I help my sister Susie.
And what does she do?
She sells seashells at the seashore.
That's better.
And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! Ooh, don't know my own strength.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Mush! That cry echoing over the frozen north meant one of two things. A dog team was on the run, or there was oatmeal for breakfast. The man who cried mush for the Canadian Mounted Police was Constable Dudley Do-Right, for it was his job to serve the post commander breakfast.
Inspector Fenwick, sir. I have your mush here.
Oh, good morning, Do-Right. Set the oatmeal on my desk and watch out you don't trip on that shag rug. Oatmeal's a little cool this morning, isn't it?
Inspector Fenwick had given 30 years of his life to the service. Then he quit the gas company and joined the Mounties.
Here, Do-Right, you handle roll call today. And oh, this time look out for that shag rug.
Roll call was part of the post daily routine. Each morning, the Mounties would stand at attention on the parade grounds and state what kind of rolls they wanted with breakfast.
How about it, Earnshaw?
Kaiser.
Check. Renfrew?
I think I'll have a bagel.
Do-Right was about to put down another check when the flow of ink became sluggish.
Oh, a pox on these pens.
Flicking the instrument, Dudley sprayed ink all over Renfrew's face. But neither he nor anyone else took notice of it. What's more, as he went down the line, he continued flicking the pen. By the time Inspector Fenwick came out to review his troops, every last man was covered with ink spots.
Good morning, men. I shall now give you your orders for the day after I clean the specks off my glasses.
But, sir, you're not wearing specs.
Well, if I'm not, then an epidemic has broken out.
Oh, mother of pearl, you're right.
Quick, everybody into sick bay.
Within minutes, the post hospital was filled to capacity. Unfortunately, Dudley had decided to sterilize the thermometers by putting them in boiling water.
What is Nelson's temperature?
182.
Little high, isn't it?
Well, he's sick.
Oh, yes. Do-Right, you and I are the only ones who haven't been hit. You have to reach the trading post at Quebec and bring back a miracle drug.
Quebec was only a block and a half away, but this was summer, and Canadian summers can be mighty cold. To make it worse, a blinding snowstorm blew up from the Rockies and the Bullwinkle.
The only way I'll get through is with a dog team.
It is here that the villain enters our melodrama. This despicable-looking creature is Snidely Whiplash, proprietor of a cut-rate dog team store.
So you see, sir, if I don't get the miracle drug, the Corps will perish.
If I got the miracle drug, I could sell it to the Corps for a fortune. Amount, you have touched my heart with your tender tale of woe. I shall equip your sled with two of my stoutest canines, Frick and Frack.
What type of dogs are they, kind sir?
Malamute Chihuahuas.
Can they pull a sled?
Listen, who do you think pulls Santa's sled every Christmas?
Dudley wasted no time in hitting the trail to Quebec.
On Frack!
But the wily Whiplash was determined to see that he never got there.
I'll head him off at the pass.
The pass was the only way of getting through Horace Heights, a tortuous series of snow-covered peaks that defied penetration and Dudley Do-Right.
I must get through, I must!
Just a moment, Mountie!
Out of my way, sir, this mail must go through!
What? You'd run over Santa Claus?
Santa dresses in red, you're wearing black.
I'm in mourning. Rudolph got it in the antlers.
Bad show. What can I do for you?
I must have your sled and dog so that I can open Santa Claus Lane.
But without them, I'll never find Quebec.
Quebec is just over the horizon.
But what Whiplash pointed to was the brink of an 8,000-foot cliff. Dudley debated his position, but then who could doubt Santa Claus? Off he went, out he went, and down he went.
Now all I have to do is go to the trading post and pick up the miracle drug. On Frick! On Frack!
Whiplash was in for a severe disappointment, for Dudley, now in the shape of a gigantic snowball, was avalanching his way down the mountainside. He made it to the trading post just as Whiplash stepped up to the counter and said,
"A bottle of miracle drug."
To go!
Whiplash had a terrible case of whiplash, and Dudley had the miracle drug.
I'm back, sir!
Do-Right, you've got the drug. Quick, man, before the disease hits us, we must take the medicine.
And they each downed a quarter of a bottle.
There. Now we'll give it to the others.
But just then...
Inspector, the men and I, we just took our Saturday night baths and the spots came off. They were ink.
Oh, thank heaven. Do-Right, it's all over. The crisis is past.
You're right, sir. Our troubles are over.
In our previous encounter, we witnessed the demise of the Earl of Crankcase, who did a 3.5 gainer into what he thought was a pool. Naturally, this meant that a new Earl had to take his place.
And this is what he looks like. He has the foot of a moose with the inscription, Rue Britannia.
He not only had the foot of a moose, he was all moose and a yard wide.
Bullwinkle, you're an Earl!
Cod-liver or castor?
However, just prior to closing, we learned that the three rascally nephews of the former Earl were determined to get the inheritance themselves. And as our hero's ship entered the harbor, it was met by the aforementioned trio, who promptly drilled a hole in her bottom.
Bullwinkle, this ship is sinking!
Sure is. What would cause an odor like that?
Sinking!
Oh.
Indeed it was. It looked like the boys were gooners.
That's goners.
Fortunately, though, the SS Flotsam settled easily into only 3 feet of water due to a handy sandbar.
For the second there, I thought we were gooners.
That's goners.
Oh.
Like all good luxury liners, this one, too, was equipped with an extra long gangplank, one that enabled the passengers to make it safely ashore.
Now what, Rock?
Now we head for the law office of lamb, curry, and rice to claim the inheritance. If we can get a cab.
Luck was with them and against them, for although they succeeded in getting a cab, they also got 3 drivers.
3 drivers? That's funny.
I don't know. Sounded like a pretty straight line to me.
No, I mean, I think we've seen those fellas before.
Yeah, probably in another episode.
Are you sure we've got the new Earl?
Who cares, so long as the meter's running?
I know. Make him show the inscription on the bottom of his foot.
Capital idea.
See, other foot for inscription.
Sure enough, on the other sole were the words, Rue Britannia.
It's him, all right. Quick, smash the car into a brick wall and we'll be rid of him.
But they were in a wall-less section of London, and so were forced to come up with another plan. Taking the first road out of town, they pulled to a stop 3 days later at the very brink of the White Cliffs of Dover. That's when Rocky and Bullwinkle became suspicious.
Gee, you'd think we'd be at the lawyer's office by now.
Relax. They're probably taking a shortcut.
Maybe so, but we better find out. Say, fellas, why are we stopping?
We're going to have the car washed.
Yes, you chaps sit right where you are. This'll only take a moment.
The plan was obvious. Sneaking to the rear of the cab, the three scallywags prepared to push it over the edge with our boys still inside. But a small squirrel and a large moose were quite a load.
I say, chaps, push!
We are pushing.
But although it was perched halfway over, the cab wouldn't budge.
Oh, fiddle-de-dee. Let's just haul 'em out and toss 'em over.
And so they jumped into one side of the cab just as Rocky and Bullwinkle came out the other.
Let's give him a hand, Bullwinkle.
The change in weight was all it took.
That's the craziest car wash I ever seen.
Well, we can't fool around any longer. Let's get to the lawyer's office.
And eventually they did.
There's no doubt of it. Your foot and the foot in this photo are one and the same. Congratulations, you are the new Earl.
Good. Can I have the £1,000,000 note now?
Not just yet. You see, according to the will, you must live in the ancestral home for 1 week.
Ancestral home?
Yes, Abominable Manor.
Shucks, I've been living in an abominable manner all my life.
Yes, but not with three desperate wet nephews to contend with. Will Bullwinkle survive? We'll find out in Moose Gets the Juice or Morning Becomes Electrocuted.
Well, it looks as if our time is just about run out.
Just enough left to tell him who the sponsor was.
You got the credits, Bullwinkle?
All on this itty-bitty card. Oop.
We're late again, Bullwinkle.
Right.
Bye now. See you next time.